previous video, I shared with you this invitation to be aware of the body. So this body awareness. And it was basically showing you how it's a very simple and powerful practice to get out of that thinking activity, to get out of thinking and into feeling, to get out of the mind and into the body. I want to share another practice that you can actually, let's say, add to that body awareness. It's very complementary. Or you can just keep it as a standalone on its own. And that would be spatial awareness, the awareness of your environment. So it's to help with that same, you could say, issue of being stuck in the story, solely focused on the story, the me and my problems story. This practice of spatial awareness does the exact same thing as the practice of body awareness. It just simply redirects the attention from just the thinking activity onto another sense, right? Because there's 6 senses: thinking, seeing, tasting, smelling, hearing, touching. Okay, so this 6th sense of thinking is just getting all of the attention. It's the center of interest, which then makes it the main focus. And this sustained focus on this activity then is concentrated, right? So this is where it's concentrated. It's amplified. This is the only thing that you're focused on, because concentration excludes everything else other than the focal point. And if the focal point is only the activity of thinking, you could see you are ignoring 5 other senses. So with the previous practice of the body awareness, it's just simply putting that attention, shifting it, not even really shifting it, but just allowing that attention to go from so restricted to then relaxing it and including just another sense. Let's just say the body sensation, or we could call it touching or feeling, right? So the focus is usually just on thinking. And now that practice of body awareness is just saying, well, hey, just like share the love, give some love to this other sense. So now the focus is now widened, it's opened, it's more inclusive, it's including, well, another sense here. So this is where I'm saying is this practice of spatial awareness then takes it a step further, because now you are including the other senses by just simply being aware of your environment, your surroundings. So the attention is then even more relaxed. It's more relaxed because you are aware of the sounds, the sights, the smells, right? So it's another one of these practices where it doesn't need you to carve out some sort of time and create this this split where you have a spiritual practice and then you have my life. It's no, you use your life as the spiritual practice, right? So this environment, by just being aware, there's a kitchen over there, but I can hear this humming of the fridge. And I've got an aquarium upstairs, just a small aquarium. And I can hear the dripping from the fountain. Right? So these are just some of the sounds. If your stomach's growling, there's a sound. There's a sensation to that. Right? As much as I'm just talking to the camera, I'm also aware of what's behind the camera. There's a window here. It's just blue skies. There's not a cloud in the sky. There's a squirrel on the fence. There's no leaves on the tree. It's in the winter right now. So it's just being aware of your environment. And you notice that by just being aware of your environment, that focus has to relax by just, again, shifting that interest, by just getting more interested in, I don't know how else to say it, life, right? Life is not just this story. This thinking activity is a story about life, but just getting more interested in something other than this mental activity, then is the start of being free from it. It's just like the last video. It's just an invitation. It's an invitation. Can you be interested in the environment? Can you be interested in the sound? As I'm speaking, there's an awareness of the sound of my voice. There's also an awareness of there's a plane. I can't see it, but I can hear it. Right? So the awareness of the sounds of the environment, the sights of the environment, the smell of the environment. And you start noticing that attention is then more relaxed. It's even more spacious because it's kind of like it was here. Most people kind of feel like thinking is happening, right behind their eyes. And it kind of feels like somewhere here, like almost either in the temporal or in the forehead. And it's like very tight somewhere in the brain. And they're like, it's just so, I just want to get out of here. And it feels so tight. So then the first video, which was invitation to body awareness, it was kind of like, oh, so now it's more spacious. And now this, like I'm saying, it's a complementary practice. And then now it's more spacious than the body because it's, oh. See, now it's even more relaxed. Right? So you start feeling even more spacious, more open, more relaxed. And the attention is more inclusive. See, when it's just the thinking activity, that sound of the plane is still there. There's just an ignoring of it. Some people, you see this, they have like food on the side of their face or something, and they're not aware of it. It's like there's no sensation. It's like they stopped feeling the body because there's so much attention given to the thinking activity. So it's like they can't feel food when it's on their face, and you have to point it out and say, hey, you got something there. And they go, oh, wow, I didn't know that. It's this feeling of being very disconnected from the body. It's like they're not aware of the body. Things just kind of pop up, like their knee starts hurting them and they go, oh, like I'm not even aware of it. The knee really has to start like breaking down. It starts screaming to get the attention. But one who's very aware of the body, they're picking up on it so early because it's so, there's a sensitivity to it because there's the awareness that's always on the body. But when the awareness is just simply just on the thinking, it's as if it's creating this artificial ignoring. It's as if it's blocking out everything else except for that thinking activity. So it's kind of like I said, is there's these six senses, and it's like, okay, well, this sixth sense of thinking is getting, to exaggerate it, like 100% attention. So now it's like, put some attention here, and then put a little attention here, and then put a little attention here, and then put a little attention here. So it's like repartitioning this 100% attention. You're like, put 20% here, 10% here, 20%. So it's like spread out. It's spread out. What you notice is that the attention is not so divided. See, it was divided before. It's going to just one thing and then it's excluding everything else. By just allowing the attention to be undivided, and it's not giving anything more importance than another. In the first example here of overthinking or just being immersed in the story, it's valuing the story, the thinking activity, more than the sound of the airplane or the feeling of the body or the sound of the aquarium or the fridge or the temperature of the room or the sight of the squirrel on the fence. So all of these things are then, you could say, split up, because the attention is kind of saying, yeah, who cares about that, because this is more important. So it's kind of like puts this thinking activity on a pedestal, and it makes it feel like it's the main focus, right? It's what's under the magnifying glass. It's the center of interest. And so that's what you're looking at under the magnifying glass of attention, that this attention is then directed at your center of interest. So it's like a focus, it's like a magnifying glass. The focus is like a magnifying glass. And this sustained focus is what's called concentration. And this concentration then excludes everything else other than that which is in focus. But by just simply getting interested in the body, getting interested in the smells and the sounds and the sights, then you're now experiencing more of an undivided attention. That the attention is more inclusive. You're experiencing the moment as a whole. You're not experiencing this slicing and dicing of the moment. You're experiencing the moment as a whole. So these practices of just simply awareness of the body, or the awareness of the environment, this body awareness or this spatial awareness, they're very powerful, and they can be done at any time. Because you could just be standing in line, how most people do, and they kind of go, oh, I'm kind of bored here standing in line. There's 4 people ahead of me at the grocery store. And most people kind of go off to ruminating thoughts, thinking about the past, what was bad today, or they start thinking about the future. What's going to go wrong? How do I plan to make sure that that doesn't go wrong? And this is what most people do. But what if you can just stand in line and just put the attention on the body? Feel just the pressure. Oh, I got more weight on my right foot than my left. What's going on my right hip? Oh, my left. Right? And I have to speak about it, but as you're aware of the body, you don't have that dialogue that I'm, how I'm speaking. So you're not telling a story about it. You're just simply experiencing those sensations of the body. And then you're just simply scanning the body with your attention. And then now you're noticing people around you. You're noticing the music in the grocery store. You're noticing the environment. And you're seeing like this attention is more and more inclusive. It's not slicing and dicing the present moment, that you're experiencing it as a whole. And like I said in the last video, it's like this kind of feedback loop, that this interest, you're interested in the body, well, now that you're interested in the sound of the music, you're interested in other people around you, the shelves, the cashiers, the building, the rafters of the building, the walls. It's so wide. It's like like I said in the last video, it's an adventure. There's just so much exploring happening, an experiential exploration. So you start noticing that that's a lot more enjoyable than being bitter about the past or freaking out about the future. Because that's the normal experience. But the natural experience is just to experience life as it is. And there's just experiencing what is. Getting interested in what is. Not so much telling a story about what is. Just experiencing the people in the line and the cashiers and the music. Not telling a story about how it's not your favorite song and how that person's ugly and how that person's taking too long with their coupons. Just experiencing it non-judgmentally. So there's just simply the awareness of the fridge, but not saying, oh, I wish that fridge would just shut up while I'm making the video. I hope that they can't hear it. Oh, I need to add some more water to that fish tank upstairs because it shouldn't be sounding like that. Come on, who flies an airplane Tuesday afternoon? This is that judgment, which is just the storytelling. All of that judgment is just telling a story about what is. So this awareness of your environment, this spatial awareness, is non-judgmental. This body awareness is non-judgmental. You're not aware of the body and then now start criticizing how, your butt's too big or something, something's on your chin and now all of a sudden you're in line and you do the body awareness for 10 seconds and then you're planning, some sort of like Botox or in surgery and, all this, augmentation stuff. It's not like that. You're just simply exploring the body without any judgment. You're exploring the environment without any judgment. And you're just noticing those subtleties. You're noticing those subtleties. You might have the thought once in a while that when you're actually, waiting in line at the grocery store or at the bank or somewhere for coffee or something like that, you feel like you are taking in everything. You're flooded by the experience. There's just so much. And you now start having this contrast of, wow, I'm usually in line at the coffee shop and I'm usually just freaking out over my imagination because I'm imagining all the work that's on my desk that I have to get to and then all the worrying starts. Whereas that's what's no longer of interest to you. You're not interested in worrying anymore. You're getting interested in the smell, other people talking, the sound of the music, the sunlight coming through the window, the warmth on your skin, the pressure on your feet, the soles of your feet, the cold breeze come through the door as someone opens up the door. You're taking in it all. It's so interesting. There's so much to explore. Once you start getting a taste of this is the end of boredom. You can stand in that line. You're not bored. You start noticing what other people do. Stand in the line and then it's quick to, I can't just stand, and then it's quickly on the phone and productivity and entertaining in some way. You start noticing that you can just sit there and just stand and just take it all in. And there's a joy for no reason. There's just this causeless joy of just experiencing the whole moment. Right? Sooner or later, they call your name. Yeah, sir, what do you want? Yes, miss, what kind of coffee? And, it's like Now that's just what's happening. But what you're used to is kind of like, hurry up, buddy, get going. I got to get to the office. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. It's this kind of, this hurrying, this rushing, this stress, this worry, this fear. It's very much this like fight or flight mode. We're either resisting what's happening. Ah, man, come on. Why are they so slow today? Or I hurry up, I got to get going. I'm in a rush. So you start noticing that, wow, that's like almost the normal way that I was functioning, was this fight or flight. But now just simply being aware of the body, there's less of that fight or flight. By being aware of the environment, there's less of that fight or flight. Like I said, it's the opposite. You're not experiencing that stress. You're just relaxed. You're just relaxed. And it transforms these very mundane activities like waiting in line for coffee before you go to your office or on the way to your office. You could be in line at a drive-through and you're not freaking out on that it's a 15-car wait. Because why? You're in the drive-through, but you've got your window down a little bit and you're listening to the birds and you're smelling the fresh breeze, the fresh air. You're noticing the traffic and other people walking. You're just more, you could say, just more observant. But just that observing, it's like exploring. There's just this curiosity to it. And then just a natural wonder. Whereas when you check it out for yourself, the story, it's so repetitive. The story is always about a problem. But by just being aware of the body, being aware of the environment, just experiencing this moment as it is, it's problem-free. It's problem-free. And the absence of that problem is what you're experiencing, is there's just this natural contentment. This okayness to the moment. Everything's okay. Why am I freaking out? That freaking out is unnecessary. You start seeing this contrast once you start getting a taste of it like that. That was very unnecessary. I was standing in line. I was kind of like crazy. You now start experiencing it's like another way to live. It's this effortless living. So this is another invitation. Just be aware of your environment, this spatial awareness, because there's a lot to explore here. Hopefully this helps. See you in the next one.